Section A on the international protection afforded to refugees, we look initially at the historical perspective. We paint the political and historical background into which the whole notion of affording protection and coming up with some universal standard for the definition of a refugee was played out in the years prior to the 1951 Convention. We then look at the legal framework of the 1951 Convention. We look at the office of the High Commissioner for Refugees, and we also look at the sort of way in which the Convention and its 1967 protocol, the 67 protocol, which removed the geographical and temporal limitations of the Convention, play out or relate to the domestic legal systems of contracting parties. We look at terms that are utilized by the Convention, namely the concept of non-refoulement, and how there is prohibition on returning individuals to an area, to a territory where their life would be at risk or in danger. And we also look at the way in which international refugee law has developed within human rights environment. As the human rights environment has developed, then the way in which that has then impinged and had ramifications for refugee law is discussed. In Section A, we also discuss who is a refugee. There is the classical definition of the 1951 Convention, but also the limitations of the 1951 Convention are discussed, and in the light of contemporary developments and the fact that the whole profile of a refugee has changed somewhat and is no longer just your young, educated, politically active male aged between 16 and 30, but is rather someone who is probably moving because of environmental issues or who is moving because of civil war, and how these individuals do not fall within the traditional definition of refugee, and what the response has been at a regional level, for example in Africa and in America, South America. We also look at the assessment and the way in which the various criteria will be assessed by domestic legal systems or by the decision maker, whoever that person or whoever has responsibility for determining whether an individual is a refugee or not. And the discussion focuses, though, primarily in Section A on the 1951 Convention, because that convention is and remains and is likely to remain the framework within which we will continue to work and determine who is a refugee in current circumstances. And we will also see that the Refugee Convention can be developed through, for example, the use of particular social group, and how that has been developed by judges, by decision makers, to actually keep the Convention alive and able to accommodate current circumstances. That is very much painting with a broad brush the contents of Section A.